The full-time or part-time property investor's dilemma. Now, if you're wondering whether to stay part-time or go full-time, but you're just struggling to make that decision, let me give you some help on that within this week's property finance video. My name's Kevin Wright. If you want to learn about part-time or full-time investing, you know what to do. Keep watching. Now look, I've been working with property investors for many years, in fact been one myself for many years too. And one thing I see a lot is people with a burning ambition to be full-time in property, to leave the day job, whatever the day job may be, and to live the life of a land. Now I guess your motivation to do that is going to be directly linked to the level of your dissatisfaction with whatever puts bread on the table for you right now. Now there are people that have vocations that fulfill them to a lesser or greater degree, and they see property as a backup to this, maybe not having to do it quite so much, maybe having some more time over when to do this vocational calling, maybe putting something away for a more comfortable retirement, because property is often that for a lot of people. It's a bit of pension planning that doesn't rely on institutional funds run by funds managers. You know, and the appeal of bricks and mortar has always been, well, you can actually touch it, can't you? It's not intangible in a way that money sitting in pension funds is intangible. And that's not to say that property is without its own issues and problems and challenges, but it is a tangible investment. Unless you're Mr. or Mrs. Moneybags, and if you were, I guess you wouldn't be watching videos like mine, but the implications of going full-time wouldn't really apply to you, because you're just going to pay cash for the properties you want to add to your portfolio until you've got enough to supply you with an income that meets your needs. For the rest of us, we've got to think differently about that. And here's the big issue: mortgageability. Mortgage lenders' view of you and your mortgageability changes the minute you jack your job in. Now, for all the idealistic dreaming, and hey, there's a lot of this goes on in property about working towards being full-time in property, you know, and I've seen having a job almost derided with the term wage slave and exchanging your money for time, all of which has resonance, by the way. And there's that very true saying, if you're not part of your own plan, you're part of someone else's plan. And what have they got planned for you? Well, not much. So there's a strong, and stronger in some people, a strong urge to remove yourself from that exchanging time for money and to get more freedom in your life in terms of how and when you work. You know, and property is one of the most reliable vehicles for doing that, no doubt about that. Now, the more rewarding and the more unfilling of whatever you do to pay the bills right now, the keener your motivation is going to be to get away from it. And it's very much got to get away from that way of earning a living and find a better, more fulfilling way of earning a living. Now, property could well fill that gap, but the timing of that change is key. And let's be clear, it's going to involve some sacrifice. What do I mean by sacrifice? Well, look, you've got to work, and your employer wants a big chunk of your time. Even if you're self-employed running a business that's not to do with property, your clients want a big chunk of your time. And hey, we've all got to sleep, haven't we? So that's another big chunk out of every 24 hours. Now, you could possibly squeeze a bit of time from your employer or your clients. You could possibly go to bed later and wake up earlier. But the third and final chunk of any 24 hours is where you're really going to have to find the time. And by find the time, I mean to make way and make your headway in property. And that time is leisure time. So the sacrifice has got to be your leisure time, the things you've done when you're not working or sleeping in previous years, and squeezed often to the point where there's not much time to do any of them. It's not a forever choice, it's a limited period choice to make a short-term sacrifice for a longer-term gain. What do you mean you're not subscribed? Weekly finance videos? Weekly Monday morning Q&As, mentee case studies, what's not to like? Come on, click that button, and that dingy belly thing, and the Instagram one too. That's better. Now back to the video. Now, as you begin to build an income in property, even though at the beginning it may not match the way you earn your living and put food on the table, it will over time. And that means you get to a point where actually you're earning enough out of property to not do the day job, or to drop the day job down and to do it less, but still keep your hand in there if that works better for you. Now, why is all this important? Because standard mortgage lenders hate full-time landlords. and they will not lend to them. So the danger is you make that leap into full-time property too soon and you cut off your mortgageability to a huge swathe of lenders. Now check out one of my other videos where I run through that the mortgage lenders that love you when you start out in property, as you progress and go bigger, love you less and begin to hate you. And conversely, the mortgage lenders that hated you when you first started out in property start to love you the bigger and more experienced you get. Hey, here's the thumbnail to that video now. Now the optimum time to jump into property full time is when these lenders that you started off with really don't want to lend to you anymore, and these lenders that wouldn't even consider you when you started out now are very keen to lend to you. Now you've hit that sweet spot, and that's when to switch over into full-time property investor mode. Challenge is delaying it long enough to hit that sweet spot. So these mainstream buy-to-let lenders that you start off being very attractive to when you kick off your property investment journey, what's their avatar? What's their perfect borrower profile? Let's look at that. Number one, they've got a full-time job unrelated to property. Whether that's employed or self-employed doesn't really matter so much. Two, they've got good earnings, and earnings to the point where lenders are comfortable they've got enough spare personal income to cover mortgage voids in between tenancies. Now for most lenders, that's £25,000 per year on a single or a joint basis. Three, they have a few properties but not too many, and how many is too many varies lender to lender. It can be as little as 3 with some lenders or 10 with others, or even more. And of course, if you've got none but you own the property you live in, then buy-to-let lenders by the main are still happy to lend to you. 4, got a nice wedge of cash that's yours and not anyone else's. Now mortgage lenders are very aware that people, to build their portfolio, once they've used up their own cash, are going to start looking around to see whose else's they can borrow, and they're very alert to finding out exactly whose deposit money you're using. I've done another video on why they get so intolerant of you borrowing the deposit. Here's the thumbnail for that one. So they're going to drill down and make sure that the cash you're putting up as your 25% deposit actually is yours. And to make sure it is yours, they're going to ask for an audit trail of bank accounts so they can see where this deposit came from. And if it's dropped into your account, they're going to ask for the bank statements of the account that came from. And they'll keep going if they keep seeing money dropping into bank accounts until they go back and back and back and back and find the true source of the deposit. And if it turns out it's not yours, your application gets terminated. So timing is the key about when to make the leap into being a full-time property investor. Clearly you need to get to a point where you've replaced your day job income with property income, which will allow you to carry on broadly the same lifestyle, but now you've just got a whole chunk of that leisure time that we were talking about earlier, because your work time is no longer taking up such a big chunk of every 24 hours. So once you reach that equilibrium, property income, day job income, you can start seriously thinking about making the switch. And then a chat with a good broker about your opportunities for borrowing money as a full-time landlord and the types of lenders that would lend to those, and they're all on the commercial end, and also the rates that they would charge. Now that's going to be a good idea, because while you're preparing to make that switch, you need to understand what mortgage lending is going to look like from the other side. Now another fact with these more commercially minded lenders, they're not as keen as buy-to-let lenders on interest-only mortgages, because every buy-to-let lender is going to do you an interest-only mortgage, aren't they? Well, some of these commercial lenders not so keen on that. In fact, some don't offer it as an option at all. They only do repayment mortgages. So understanding your mortgage options in advance, that's a really good thing to do. So my advice here is to stick out that day job as long as you possibly can until you're in that pivotal position, both property income wise, number of properties wise, that making the switch to full-time property doesn't impair your mortgageability. Okay, so that's where we're at for this week. Now, I'm going to be back with another property finance video on a different topic next week. I look forward to seeing you then. If you enjoyed watching this video, did you know every Monday morning at 8:30 I do a live Facebook Q&A. So if you want to start the week with checking out some answers to your property finance questions, click the link here.